now we should have an operational machine, and you can see everything is working. And that is it as far as disassembly and reassembly in its primal form. Of course, adjusting was the big question, but I figured I'd go ahead and cover everything in one shot, because there may be some other folks that want to look at their stuff. Now here's what I found in terms of tubes being ripped. And it has to do with the release timing of this particular arm right here that releases the tube. And if you will take a tube and just go ahead and empty tube and stick it on with no tobacco in it, close the hopper and slowly come down into here, you can feel and see, if you have the right light, that spoon coming down inside your tube. Now once you touch off, and the easiest way to find the spot where the spoon actually touches the filter is start wiggling. And you know, this might be easier to do without that spring, so I can show you a little better. I might have put that on there a little prematurely. So I'm just going to take one of the springs off. And sometimes things are always easier said than done. Okay, now I don't have to fight the tension of that. And this may be the way to go to feel it and test for it. But if you take one of your tubes and stick it on and start coming down like I said, and slowly come in here and wiggle this filter, you will feel when that spoon inside there contacts the filter. And you just keep doing it, and there it is. Now you can see how stiff it is as opposed to bouncing around like this. So if you'll bring it in, like I said, just to where it touches, right there it is. That is the point that this should begin releasing. And you can see on mine, I do have it correct. I hope you can, but right at that point right there is where you want that to begin releasing. Now if I flip it over without moving anything, and you can actually do the same test this way, you can see the arm sliding back. Here it comes. The spoon is being shoved out. I'm going to hold the filter, and right there the filter got tight, and I'm just now contacting that cam right there from this point. Let me get my finger out of the way. From this point to this point, I'm just contacting. So in my case, and this is the way I found it to work for me when I was ripping filters, is if you hold that point right there, loosen this up and adjust it to where this just kisses this right here, and tighten it back down. It's kind of hard to do with just two hands, but it can be done. And just, you know, take your time. You can get that timing set perfect to where as soon as that gets there, it starts releasing and it kicks your cigarette off without tearing the paper. Now this particular application may work the same on hundreds if you're in that setting. I've never done it, so I can't really say for certain, but on Kings, this is what I did to fix my problem. Mine was already adjusted, so it just so happens I have it in the exact same spot. But just to show you that particular operation, I'm going to go ahead and mess mine up. Since I have it marked, I can always put it right back to the way it was. So I will go ahead and loosen this up. Now you don't have to have it, excuse me, you don't have to have it totally loose. You just need it to where you can move this around. So you can see right now, I just loosened it up, and you can see how this will spin around. You can also adjust it in and out, so you'll have to find that particular spot that's best for you. But now we know by holding that tube and wiggling it. I really hope all this is showing up. I'd hate to have to shoot this again. I'm just going to move this out of the way just so you can really see it. There, I'm in contact with that tube. It's gotten stiff, but I'm not burying it in there, into the filter. That's why I'm coming up really slow. And then I'll just pivot this around, and you can hear it clicking it just right there. and then snug it up. It will try to move on you, but once you get it partially snugged up, and test it one more time, just break it off, flick the filter tube a little bit and move it, and there it's stiffened up on me. Once you get it to that point where it won't move under its own weight, you can go ahead and just back everything off, remove your tube, and hold this while you snug it the rest of the way up. And then once you get that tight, like so, you should be adjusted to where it won't rip your papers. Now, you may have to do it a couple times. If it's still ripping them, you may need to move it away just a little bit. No, I'm sorry, if it's still ripping them, you need to move it forward just a little bit towards this point, so it begins releasing that a little bit sooner. So play around with that, and I think that will solve the problems of the folks out there having ripped papers. But take your time, and you should be able to get it. Once you're satisfied, of course, before you make any other adjustments, you'll need to put your spring back on. You know, the ultimate test is shoot a few cigarettes and see what you get. You know, I still get a filter ripped occasionally, but it's not every one. You know, maybe 1 in 10 or 15 cigarettes if I'm kind of getting careless or something like that. I may get one that's actually tearing. You know, it doesn't bother me quite as much because it's not all that drastic. I usually don't inhale the first couple drags before I get it started anyway. So I'm usually burned through any rip before it happens. Now to put your rubber pad back on, I don't think it really matters. I know it doesn't, as a matter of fact. Well, no, actually it does matter. There is a definite front and a rear, and it's actually marked on this. It says front. So that's actually going to go towards the front of the machine. So you can put your pad back on, kind of work it around there. It's always a good idea, like I said earlier, you know, take things apart from time to time, clean them up, maybe put a little bit of 3-in-1 oil in this thing. Aside from any parts you might break, they should last you years of service. So I hope this helps everybody, and if you have any more questions, let me know and I'll see if I can answer them. But I myself am a novice at this at best to date, so I may be somewhat limited to what I can help you out with. Hope this helps you out. Have a good one.